Good afternoon, my name is Matthew Stride. I will be reading The Atomic Bomb, Truman Press Release from August 6, 1945, from the author of Harry S. Truman, at that time, President of the United States. In the early morning hours of July 16, 1945, great anticipation and fear ran rampant at the White Sands Missile Range near Alamogordo, New Mexico. Robert Oppenheimer, director of the Manhattan Project, could hardly breathe. Years of secrecy, research, and tests were riding on this moment. For the last few seconds, he stared directly ahead, and then, when the announcer shouted, "Now!" and there came this tremendous burst of light, followed abruptly thereafter by a deep growling of the explosion. His face relaxed into an expression of tremendous relief, recalled General L.R. Groves of Oppenheimer in a memorandum for Secretary of War George Marshall. The explosion, carrying more than 20,000 tons of TNT and visible for more than 200 miles, succeeded. The world's first atomic bomb had been detonated. With the advent of the nuclear age, new dilemmas in the art of warfare arose. The war in Europe had concluded in May. The Pacific War would receive full attention from the United States War Department. As late as May 1945, the U.S. was engaged in heavy fighting with the Japanese at Iwo Jima and Okinawa, Japan. In these most bloody conflicts, the United States has sustained more than 75,000 casualties. These victories ensured the United States was within air-striking distance of Japanese mainland. The bombing of Pearl Harbor by the Japanese to initiate the United States entrance into the war was just 4 years before. A feeling of vindication and desire to end the war strengthened the resolve of the United States to quickly and decisively conclude it. President Harry Truman had many alternatives at his disposal for ending the war. Invade the Japanese mainland, hold a demonstration of the destructive power of the atomic bomb, drop an atomic bomb on selected cities, bomb and blockade the islands, wait for Soviet entry into the war on August 15th. Operation Olympia, a full-scale landing of United States Armed Forces, was already planned for Kyushu, Japan on November 1st, 1945. A bomb and blockade plan had already been instituted over the Japanese mainland for several months. The Japanese resolve to fight had been seriously hampered in the preceding months. Their losses at Iwo Jima and Okinawa had been staggering. Their navy had ceased to exist as an effective fighting force. Their air corps had been decimated. American B-29s made bombing runs over military targets on the Japanese mainland, an integral part of their air campaign. Japan's lack of air power hindered their ability to fight. The imprecision of bombing and the use of devastating city bombing in Europe eventually swayed the United States Pacific Theater military leaders to authorize bombing of Japanese mainland cities. Tokyo, Nagawa, Osaka, and Kobe were all decimated by incendiary and other bombs. In all, hundreds of thousands of civilians were killed in these airstrikes, meant to deter the resolve of the Japanese people. Yet the resolve stayed strong, and the idea of a bloody house-to-house invasion of the Japanese mainland would produce thousands more American and Allied casualties. The Allies in late 1945 declared at Potsdam that the Japanese must unconditionally surrender. After Japanese leaders flatly rejected the Potsdam Declaration, President Harry S. Truman authorized the use of an atom bomb after August 3, 1945. On the clear morning of August 6, 1945, the first atomic bomb, nicknamed Little Boy, was dropped on the city of Hiroshima, leveling over 60% of the city, and 70,000 residents died instantaneously in a searing flash of flame. 3 days later, on August 9th, a second bomb, Fat Man, was dropped at Nagasaki. Over 20,000 people died instantly, and in successive weeks, thousands more Japanese died from the after effects of radiation exposure of the blast. Thank you. Have a good afternoon.